Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. Creation tools allowed you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. They distribute your podcast for you. It can be heard everywhere, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to start today. On today's podcast, I spoke to Jon Bird. He is a gentleman that I discovered through a couple mutual Facebook groups about wedding photography and videography. And then he just seemed to have disappeared for a little bit. And then all of a sudden he came back and I found him again. And he had started a new company called Easyflicks. It's, if for some people that are not aware, us filmmakers and photographers, we are trying to do away with physical media because one, it makes it easier for us to deliver to our clients because we're taking the middleman out of it. No postman, no UPS, anything like that. No risk of it being lost. So online delivery is becoming the future, in my opinion. So he actually sat down with a couple friends and decided to start a company called Easyflicks. Easyflicks is unique because it does both photo and video. And that's what I do, and that's what he does. And we talked about that a little bit in the podcast. But for a limited time, Easyflicks is being kind and actually doing a 10% off promo code. So if you check out their website, I'll have it linked in the show notes. Put in the code ISPEZ and you'll get 10% off when you join up. So I hope you enjoy this podcast, and it was great talking with Jon, and he had some great information on his company Easyflicks. We had to stop it quick or short actually because I was recording it at 4:30 in the morning, and Jon actually lives in the UK, so they're about 6 hours ahead of us. So I had to wake up super early, so you might notice my voice is a little bit different. I was a little tired, and the reason why we had to cut it short was because my children woke up and they walked into my office as I was recording the podcast. So hopefully you don't hear any of that, and hopefully you enjoy the podcast. I'd like to welcome Jon Bird to the podcast. Jon, say hello. How you doing?
How you doing? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, man. How you doing?
Not so bad. I'm a bit chilly.
Chilly?
I've just come into the office. I've not been here long, so.
Oh, nice. So let's start out. So what's your background, Jon?
I mean, I'm still shooting weddings, so I still have. I do wedding photography and videography. I started about 6 years ago. It's kind of strange because back then I had a kind of idea that I wanted to do wedding videography, and at the time I thought it would be possible to shoot a wedding on a GoPro. Anyway, I literally had no idea, and I bought this GoPro, and I started kind of using it, going to the parks and stuff. Soon realized that it was not going to work at all. So yeah, I ended up buying a DSLR, little 550D, and funnily enough, I fell in love with photography first, and from there it just kind of progressed, and got into weddings and started shooting combos relatively quickly after that.
Nice.
So yeah,
that's kind of my opposite. I started doing weddings when I worked for a television station like 20 years ago. Back when everybody was shooting on tape still, and I shot video and then went the opposite route and then started doing photography later on in life, like maybe about 6-7 years ago.
Nice.
I love both, and I just I do both as well. So
yeah. I think
both got that in common.
Yeah, definitely. With the photography, it kind of because you have to learn the kind of. I really went down the route of learning all the rules and stuff. Like going on YouTube and looking at like rule of thirds and all that. It seems so kind of amateurish back, looking back, because it's just, I was so new to it, and then it was so much easier to then move into the video thing, because essentially I know there's a few kind of transitions and kind of like camera movements and things like that, but generally you just hit record and kind of go from there. And so yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Awesome. Where are you from?
I live in Lancaster in the UK. It's a little place called Caton, which is it's kind of in the outback. It's there's not much happening there, but it's not too far away from town. So
Nice.
I just kind of scooter in on my little scooter down the cycle track to work.
Nice. So you said you were chilly. What's the temperature there?
It's pretty chilly out. I don't know what the temperature is, but we've just moved into a new office, which is in town, and it's above a vegan cafe. It's quite a big place. It's a really old building, and the heating it takes a while to heat the place. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
So I'm just kind of I've got me gloves on and everything. I'm just kind of like trying to keep warm while the heating kicks in.
It's -6 here in Wisconsin.
Oh wow! So it is actually cold there. I thought it'd be, I don't know why, but I thought it'd be warm.
No, I wish it was warm.
Right, cool. Yeah, this is still not kicking in. I don't know what's going on with this radiator today, but I'll be having words.
All right. So the other reason why I wanted to speak to you was your company called Eazyflicks. Kind of walk me through that. What was your idea behind it, and how did it come to fruition?
I guess, like, with being in the industry for a little while, the wedding industry, I think at the time I've been using USBs to deliver everything, and at some point I realized, like, it is literally just taking time. It costs a lot of money. I mean, a lot of people, I guess they use USBs. Some people still use like DVDs as well. But they seem really outdated to me now. I guess it's like, like you say with the tapes and stuff like that. I don't know. I think things are moving. I understand, like I see it a lot that people still use DVDs. And their clients need DVDs, like the older generation, I guess, like maybe with the dance stuff and things like that.
Yeah, like
dance shows and stuff.
Dance shows and plays and things. That's really the only time that I use a DVD. My wedding clients really understand that it's either digital or a USB delivery. Yeah, and
I think USB it's still kind of standard, isn't it? USB.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice as well. I do like USB. I did like, because I mean, you can brand everything. It's tangible. You can send it in a nice, with a nice bow on it, a nice little box and things like that.
Yeah.
I do still think that has its place, definitely.
Yeah, but for the most part, 90% of the clients can only play that on their computer. They're not going to be able to figure out how to transfer it to something that they can watch on their TV, or it just may not work in a TV that has a USB drive.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that was something that I didn't really consider at the time, as well, that, things are moving. I mean, the new MacBooks or Mac Pros or whatever. I mean, I use Windows, so I don't know what the crack is with that, but I do know that some of the hardware on that has changed, and USBs literally don't go in anymore. So I don't know if people, would send USB drives with like a special attachment or something like that.
Or something like that. Yeah.
And it probably costs a fortune if it's Apple. Do you know what I mean? So I don't really know how that works, but it came to a point where I sort of realized it's costing me time and money, and I'm looking around and I'm seeing a lot of. I mean, you can see a lot of photography galleries. There's a lot out there. And so, but there's not much for video. And I was just kind of like, I needed to send both. I didn't want to be paying for two services. I didn't want to be, messing around too much with a few different platforms and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I literally, we invited some friends round for tea, one of which is a developer. And I just said, look, I've got this idea. Do you fancy coming in halves? We'll go for it. And we sort of drank some wine and had some food. And then next day we kind of relentlessly started work on it. But now this guy, he ended up too busy. So I'm kind of running solo with a little team of mine, and going from there, really.
Wow. So what are the ins and outs of it? Is that, I mean, don't reveal too much behind the industry, however you're doing it, but is it, when people upload, is it all stored locally? Do you have a local server? Are you using some sort of backbone backend engine?
Yes. So we basically have a UK-based server team, and they look after. It's like a 24-hour support. They look after all the servers. We have multiple servers that do different
backups
jobs
and everything.
So the backups is it called B2 Backblaze backups?
Oh, sure.
So basically everything's kind of connected to that. So it's a really solid backup, and they happen regularly. But in terms of the other servers, it's all about one does conversion for the videos. So for example, when you upload a video to Eazyflicks, it has to go through like a conversion process.
Okay.
But the way I wanted it to be is obviously the conversion would be done so that it would stream well, and then but we'd still retain the original file. So when you upload, the client has the ability to download the original file, as well as like the social version, and be able to stream it smoothly without it buffering and stuff. So there's quite a bit that kind of went into the mind behind that.
Okay, so there's multiple versions. That's interesting. So they're watching one version that's streamable, or a little bit lower quality, but when they actually go to claim, when they go to claim their file, they can get the high quality.
They download the original. That's the one. Even though they're both high quality, and I needed to, it's kind of like tweaking the sort of, we're still going through that kind of tweaking the, we don't want to give on the quality, but also we don't want it to be stopping halfway through.
Yeah, exactly.
It's still a work in process, progress to get that right.
Yeah, I would imagine it's something like Netflix uses, where if your internet quality is lower, it doesn't buffer, but the quality of the video drops to where it still plays or whatever.
Currently it's more the basically if they try to stream it, it starts doing the whole horrible buffing wheel thing if they've got a terrible connection. But the way that it is, I think they need to have a really terrible connection for it to for it to not to work. We don't get too many reports on that, but it is a matter of, especially with the 4K stuff, it's tweaking the encoding process to work for 4K really, and so we're just tweaking it. I know that some people have had some issues with the kind of thing, so we're just trying to find a balance, and then obviously later on, as we start investing more into it, it's going to be, there should be some playback options and things like that, so that the client should be able to go down to 720 if they wanted to, and things like that. That'd be really nice.
Yeah. I mean, I just recently joined your service, and I've had 2 weddings, and neither of them really complained at all. One was when I think you were having a server issue or something like that, and I had everything uploaded, and I was just like, oh, it's probably not going to work. The streaming's probably not going to work at this point, but you can download it. And she actually checked it the next day, and it was working. So everything worked that day.
Yeah,
that
it was.
Cool.
We did go through a little period not too long ago in November where it was something kind of like,
that's exactly when it was, November.
And the compression, we had to manually compress quite a lot of files, and I think some didn't quite work and some didn't, and these are the teething problems with very,
of course.
It's quite a young thing, and but it's quite exciting. I mean, I'm enjoying even the problems. I'm enjoying sort of getting the solutions, because ultimately these problems are going to make the platform more solid, and well, it's just going to work better as we start fixing them. So it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, it's been a good experience. So you're kind of doing an algorithm to compress and stream the videos. What about photos? I haven't used your service yet for photos, except for like a couple snaps that I've done when I've just done strictly video weddings, and they've been okay. One of the brides actually printed one off. It's sitting on her desk actually. Nice. But what kind of, is there any compression there?
So with the photos, if you basically upload the full res into the uploader, and for the gallery, there is it compresses them in a way that it loads the gallery quicker, that just basically helps optimize the gallery so that you can scroll through them a lot quicker, and the page doesn't take too long to load, right?
Cool.
But we have just created a new feature where if you go to the options tab, you're able to select the option of downloading the single high-res images. iOS are kind of blocking like all the good stuff, you know, like they just seem to have like a problem with people having fun or something. I don't know what it is, but you can't do a lot on iOS, but we've made it as easy as possible. But so the client will be able to, if you tick that option, they'll be able to download the single high-res images from the gallery. But if they want to just download the whole lot, they'll just go to the downloads area and download everything in either high-res or social size. So yeah, again, you know, we compress some things for viewing, but we keep all of the originals for downloading, because then it keeps it nice. And I mean, that's what you would expect. So I think so.
Yeah. And you bring up Apple iOS. I would imagine their walled garden is a little harder to get into. Do you have an application coming up for the service?
There's nothing immediately in the pipeline, but it's something that, I mean, you know, for example, you can look at all the different gallery types and things like that are already out there. And I think it's important that I have two things where the service has to be enough, and like I want to kind of be on par with you know, with what's already out there. I don't want people to think that it's a downgrade or anything like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I want to keep everything really simple. And I mean, clients, let's face it, like we are kind of more savvy, you know, with technology and things like that. Clients can be less on it depends what they do as a job and you know what I mean? But
yeah, exactly.
It needs to be just super simple. I guess clients are used to apps and stuff like that. So that's definitely something that, you know, needs to come out a little bit later on. But again, they just generally want to be able to download the stuff and look at their stuff and have it really nice. And it's all about first impressions and, you know, having that kind of wow factor when the photographer sends the images over and things. I think that's what's important. Yeah, again, I've looked at, sorry. Go on.
I was just saying your delivery system with the email, that works really great.
Yeah, that looks all nice and stuff. And I think that's kind of like, you know, that's another thing to have. It's a nice feature. You can brand that and stuff. And that's part of the process. That's part of the initial delivery and things. And but what was going to say then? I forgot.
Sure.
It's all right. I totally forgot. So it's cool.
Yeah, I cut you off. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
So getting back to like your wedding photography and videography, how many weddings a year do you shoot?
I think I've been shooting roughly 30 to 40 a year. So
wow. So you're working every weekend. Wow.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like, well, it's usually spaced between, like, because sometimes I'll do 2 or 3 in a row, which is, well, I'm sure you've done 2 or 3 in a row before.
Yeah, maybe. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah.
It's just a lot. But yeah, so I've been super busy with it, and don't get me wrong, I still love the weddings. I still love video, photo. I love doing, you know, creative things and stuff. But it has, you know, I'm more of an entrepreneur. I have like ideas and I have creativeness in that sense, and I like to explore new ideas and kind of go with things. You know what I mean? And I like to take risks and kind of, you know, go for things. So I'm really excited to kind of move in this direction because it's completely different to what I've been used to for so long. So yeah, it's cool, man. It's cool.
30 weddings. Wow. I think my busiest year I've done 30 weddings. That's that's an accomplishment of it on itself. Just finding the time to edit all that afterwards. Do you do all your own editing? Do your, you know, photo touching, retouching, things like that, or do you actually send that out?
Yeah, I do it all myself. At some point, I did sort of farm it out, and that was okay, I think. Mm-hmm. But one time I had someone come. It was my cousin. She came, and I could look over her shoulder and say, "Look, you know, this does this, and blah blah blah." And that kind of worked out for a little while, but it didn't last too long. And I found that I was just kind of It wasn't fully the same. I had to still go in and tweak things, you know, especially the videos. I had to go in and tweak things, and I found that I was just kind of like more worried about whether she's getting it right, and obviously then I was paying out for her, and it just became a bit of a pain. And then so anyway, I mean, at some point I'd tried online, kind of sending it off on Google Drive as well, and seeing if people could edit it that way. But uploading everything on the connection at home, where I was, it was just too much, and I figured it would be easier to do it myself. And yeah, I mean, it's still not easy to do it all yourself.
No.
I mean, I do speeches and ceremony, but I also only give an 8-minute film. So as far as videographers go, a lot of people are offering like a 20-minute film, and I just feel sorry for them guys, man.
Yeah,
so,
I'm right there with you. Like my seconds that shoot with me on the day of always give me a hard time, and they're like, "Why are we even here?" Because you're just going to use all your footage anyway, and none of mine. And I go, well, you're here to get the things that I may miss.
Mm-hmm.
But I use all my footage because I know my footage, and then I just use yours to sprinkle in. And
I've done that with second shoots, where I've just realized that I've kind of just used my own. I mean, I had one guy not too long ago, and I don't know, he sort of came along, and he had some great footage. In fact, I did sort of scroll through because there was a few bits that I relied on him to get, and that's kind of the footage I used. But apart from that, even though he had some great footage, I just knew what I got, and I just kind of used that.
And it's more of a time thing than anything. It's not that I don't trust him or anything. It's just like,
you just remember. I think you have reference to the day, don't you? Oh, I remember this. I'll do that. I can pull that in from there, and so on. But you just don't know, do you, with a second shoot? And I guess the good thing is you can upsell maybe a longer edit later on and have a lot more footage there. Yeah,
definitely. And if there is something I'm missing, then I can look at their footage, and I always do look at their footage as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think, John, we're gonna have to wrap up the podcast. I do appreciate you having the time to speak with me and everything like that, and I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great to have a chat, and hopefully you'll still enjoy using the system. Give us a shout if you need anything.
Yeah, definitely, man.
All right.
All right, thanks.